Exodus chapter 12. And Yahweh said to Moshe and Aaron in the land of Egypt,
This moon shall be your beginning of moons. It shall be the first moon of the year to you. Speak to all the congregation of Israel, saying, On the 10th day of this first moon, each man is to take a lamb for his family, one for each household. If any household is too small for the lamb, let him and his brother next to his house share it, having taken into account the number of people there are. You are to determine the amount of lamb needed in accordance with what each person will eat. Your lamb must be without blemish, a male of the first year. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats, and you must keep it until the 14th day of the same moon. Then the whole multitude of the congregation of Israel shall kill it between the 2 evenings. And they shall take some of the blood, and put it on the sides and tops of the door frames of the houses in which they eat the lamb. Then they must eat the meat in that night, roasted in fire, with unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Do not eat it raw, nor boiled at all with water, only roasted in fire, its head with its legs, and with its entrails. And you must let nothing of it remain until morning. But that which remains of it until morning, you must burn with fire. And in this way you shall eat it, with a belt on your waist, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. Eat it in haste. It is Yahweh's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and strike down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both men and animals, and I will execute judgment on all the gods, Elohim, of Egypt. I am Yahweh, and the blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. And this day shall be to you for a memorial, and you shall keep it as a feast to Yahweh throughout your generations. You shall keep it as a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. On the day before, you must remove leaven from your houses. For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day through the 7th day of Yahweh's feast of unleavened bread, that person will be cut off from Israel. On the first day there shall be a holy convocation, and on the 7th day there shall be a holy convocation for you. No manner of work shall be done on these days, except that which everyone must eat. That only may be done by you. And you must observe the feast of unleavened bread, for it was on this very day that I brought your divisions out of Egypt. Therefore you shall observe this day throughout your generations, by an ordinance forever. In the first moon, on the 14th day of the moon at evening, you must eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the moon at evening. 7 days no leaven shall be found in your houses, for whoever eats what is leavened, that same person shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether a stranger or a native of the land. You must eat nothing leavened. In all your habitations you must eat unleavened bread.
Then Moshe summoned all the elders of Israel and said to them,
Go out, select and take a lamb, according to your families, and kill the Passover lamb. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it into the blood that is in the basin, and put some of the blood on the top and on both sides of the doorframe. And not one of you must go out of the door of his house until the morning, for Yahweh will pass through to strike down the Egyptians. And when he sees the blood on the top and the sides of the doorframe, Yahweh will pass over that doorway and will not permit the destroyer to enter your houses and strike you down. And you shall observe this thing as an ordinance for you and your sons forever. And it will be, when you have come into the land which Yahweh will give you, just as he has promised, then you shall observe this ceremony. And when your children ask you, what do you mean by this service? Then you are to tell them, it is the Passover sacrifice to Yahweh, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, and spared our houses when he struck down the Egyptians.
So the people bowed their heads and worshipped. Then the children of Israel went away, and did just as Yahweh had commanded Moshe and Aaron. So they did. And it came to pass, at midnight, that Yahweh struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sat on the throne, to the firstborn of the captives in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of the livestock. Pharaoh and all his officials and all the Egyptians rose up during the night, and there was loud wailing in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he summoned for Moshe and Aaron by night, and said,
Get up, leave from among my people, both you and the children of Israel. Go, serve Yahweh as you have said. Also, take your flocks and your herds, as you have said, and be gone. Bless me also.
And the Egyptians urged the people that they might hurry them out of the land, for they said, we shall all be dead. So the people took their dough before it was leavened, and carried it on their shoulders in kneading troughs, wrapped in clothing. Now the children of Israel had done as Moshe had instructed, and they had already asked the Egyptians for articles of silver and gold and for clothing. And Yahweh had given the people honor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they gave them what they had asked for. In this way, they plundered the Egyptians. Then the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Sukkah. There were about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children. And a mixed multitude of people also went up with them, as well as large droves of livestock, both flocks and herds. And they baked unleavened cakes from the dough they had brought out of Egypt. For it was not leavened, because they were driven out of Egypt and could not wait, neither had they prepared provisions for themselves. Now, the sojourning of the children of Israel and of their fathers, which they sojourned in the land of Canaan and the land of Egypt, was 430 years. And at the end of the 430 years, on that very same day, it came to pass that all Yahweh's divisions went out from the land of Egypt. It is a night to be much observed unto Yahweh, for bringing them out of the land of Egypt. This is that night of Yahweh, to be observed by all the children of Israel throughout their generations. And Yahweh said to Moshe and Aaron,
This is the ordinance of the Passover. No stranger is to eat of it, but every man's slave who is bought for money, when you have circumcised him, then he may eat it. A foreigner and a hired servant may not eat it. It must be eaten inside one house. Take none of the meat outside the house, neither shall you break any of its bones. All the congregation of the children of Israel shall sacrifice it. And when a stranger lives among you and wants to sacrifice the Passover to Yahweh, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and sacrifice it, and he shall be as a native of the land. But no uncircumcised person shall eat of it. One law shall be for the native born, and for the stranger who dwells among you.
Thus all the children of Israel did, just as Yahweh commanded Moshe and Aaron, so they did. And it came to pass on that very same day that Yahweh brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their divisions.